Welcome to the rededication ceremony of the Haik 1514 monument, after being moved 6 feet across the road to allow the safe passage of large vehicles through Haik, and the reburying of a time capsule. Ian Landals leads off.
Fellow Tearies, ladies and gentlemen, it's several years now since a conversation took place which has become part of the folklore associated with this fine monument, which is central to what we're doing today and which means so much to our Haik folk. A man we had just recently come to the tune said to us, "How do people know the horse's name?" I said, "How do we mean?" He said, "The horse, it has a name." I said, "I reckon what you're on about." He said, "The horse, it's called Can. Everybody speaks about Can the horse." And it's true, if some stranger stops aside and rolls down their window of their car and asks for directions, it doesn't matter whether they come from Benster or Bangladesh. Before you can stop yourself, you've heard the familiar words, "Do we ken the horse?" Now who are ken the horse? And we speak about the horse, but of course it's not the horse at all. It's the 1514 memorial. The actual horse is far less crucial to the story, which is so vital to the historic background to our common riding, than the man on its back. The Haik Callant, we rode triumphantly him for the Hornsole skirmish in 1514. And certainly, the horse is far less significant than the flag won by the valour of our fearless sires of yore. And yet, we still talk about the horse. The 1514 memorial was commissioned to mark the 400th anniversary of the incident which took place the year after the Battle of Flodden, one of the greatest disasters in Scottish military history, when King James IV and the floor of the Scottish nobility and 10,000 ordinary men-at-arms were wiped out on Branxton Hill. Scotia felt thine ire, O Odin, on the bloody field of Flodden, where our fathers fell with honour round their king and country's banner. Tradition avers that very few, if any, of the Haik men who emerged away ahint their feudal superior Sir William Douglas of Drumlandrick returned to tell the tale. Still numbed, reeling and sunk in deep dejection at the loss of the bulk of its male population, word came to Haik that one of the raiding parties sent out under the overall command of the Earl of Dacre to lay waste the borderland was encamped 2 miles down the Teviot near its confluence with the Trow Burn. It was then some youths who'd stayed from Flodden rallied up by Tiriodin and set off in martial order down by Teviot's flurry border. Hardly old enough nowadays to play for the PSA or the Wanderers, the Haik Callants, destined to become Scotia's boast, possessed by a single-minded determination to avenge their dead fathers and brothers and to save their mothers and sisters, on they rushed to be victorious or to fall in battle glorious. Hurling themselves down into the Hornsole hollow, they charged the foe with native valour, routed them and took their colour, and hame up the river they marched in the pale light of yon fair-off June dawn, crudely displaying the trophy so gallantly won, and returned safe in. Sunlight at last, and the dancing day, and a quick-eyed lass to see the twinkling spears be Teviot side, and a pennon fluttering free, and the cobbles ring to the running feet, and the clamouring fife and drum, as hame again through the cruded yets, the gallant laddies come. An annual since, a replica of that flag, the pennon of Hexham Priory has been carried round the mare, be men unmarried. To celebrate the 400th anniversary or quarter centenary for the common riding of 1914, Haik organised a great exiles homecoming and a pageant in the Volunteer Park. The brainchild of the man we gave the common riding that we ken the day, the legend that was ex-Cornet Jed Murray. And a public subscription having been gotten up, sculptors were invited to submit ideas for a permanent memorial to be erected here in Central Square, to be unveiled on the Thursday of Common Riding Week. A young Haik man based in Edinburgh, William Beattie, son of Thomas Beattie, the Haik sculptor, who had done much of the ornamental work on the Buccleuch Memorial, submitted the successful design that's looking down on the day. Now there are several interesting details in the statue which a lot of folk have never noticed. For instance, the breastplate is very big for the rider, and that's because he was just a boy and he's depicted wearing his feathers breastplate. But the wee touch that clinched the awarding of the commission to William Beattie is the horse itself. The callant is triumphantly bearing aloft the banner blue that bears the Golden Cross, but the horse has obviously been in a battle. It's fared in, it's jiggered, and that touch of realism is what is supposed to have won the day for the young sculptor who was just 26. Sadly now, the late ex-cornet Willie McTaggart tells us how, as a wee boy, noted with wonder the arrival in Central Square of a big thing covered in tarpaulin, and the whole town waited with bated breath to see what mystery was to be revealed. It was due to be unveiled by the Duchess of Buccleuch, but she'd a sair head, and she sent her daughter, Lady Sybil Scott, to dead instead. And when she pulled the cord that led to the dropping away of the muckle tarpaulin, there were gasps of awe as the memorial first saw the light of day. There are two inscriptions on the memorial. One records the unveiling on Thursday, 4th June 1914. The other has a quotation from Horace. Now you mind of Horace? Brother of Joe and Hen and Daphne and Maggie and the twins and the bairn. Well, what not a lot of folk can is that Horace was a dab hand at Latin poetry, and a line of his is quoted on the other tablet on the memorial. Mercis profundo pulcrior evenit, which literally translated reads, plunged into the depths, he emerged more fair, and it's a reference to the Merse or borderland recovering after flooding. It was with a sense of incredulity that Haig folk learned that the statue was to be moved. Now Haig say chout to a cars, and the plan that would relieve it means having to move the horse. Whoever would have believed it. Any row Haig has seen in the past would have paled in insignificance if our precious monument had been damaged. Thankfully, all the fears proved to have been unnecessary, as on Wednesday, March the 5th, between 4:45 and 10:05, the horse was safely moved. It was given them to put a rug over it to ease the trauma, and it seemed totally unfazed by all that was being dented. It had a good keek into the chemist one day as it went by, and it emerged unsullied and unstained for its ordeal. We'll pay tribute to those responsible for its moving experience, for the care that they took. Before this, on Thursday, February the 20th, workman Mark Moffat quite unexpectedly came on a time capsule, a Craig the Chemist's bottle with a ground glass stopper, in which was the strangest assortment of hastily flung together photos, membership and business cards and curiosities, including 2 cigarettes, a dummy tit and chocolate worm cake. It was only right that they should now gone back in to where they had come from. Our group were also given the remit of coming up with items for a modern day time capsule, which has been purchased with money from Hoyt Common Good Fund. It includes photographs, books, videos, CDs, programmes, dinner menus, pair of the ribbons ex-cornet Stephen Anderson tied to the monument, a tin of Hoyt balls, a lottery ticket, a top-up phone card, a modern day dummy tit, and a cigarette packet with a government health warning. To thank Cornet Greg and Lass Laura, we will shortly insert the time capsule. Since Jan Ferroff June Day in 1914, when William Beattie's magnificent masterpiece first emerged under its tarpaulin, it has held a very special place in the hearts of our Tieries, for it has become the symbol of the dauntless pride of Haik, our Borderhame, and like Hornsole Brig, long as our famous horse shall stand, the trusty valour through the land shall tell the story, proud and grand, of Haik on the border. For Callum's once had Flodden's fight, renowned for deeds of matchless
God's might, when Scotland's valour sank in night, shone hawks on the border, and lang as horns full brig shall stand, the trusty valour through the land shall tell the story proud and grand of Haik on the border. Then Lagos Teviot rolls its tide through many a valley fair and wide. Let Callant's love with honest pride their tune upon the border.
It is my pleasant duty to thank everyone involved in today's historic event. To Ian Landals and his hard-working committee, Cornet Greg MacLeod and his lass Laura, song singer Michael Aitken and the saxhorn band, Ian Scott providing the PA system so that we could be heard above the noise of the builders. To you for coming along this afternoon and taking part in another defining moment in Hawick's proud history.